What's up? It's Matt. We're back with another restaurant expert roundup. This time we're across the pond in Australia. And I know not to call the Aussies Kiwis because I hung out with two guys from Australia and one guy from New Zealand one weekend. What's going on, James?
Hey, how are you?
I'm amazing. So I'm in Kentucky. You're in Australia. Tell the audience who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
So James Eling from Marketing4Restaurants. We do a few things, websites. We help with restaurant marketing. Probably the thing that we're most famous for is Frollo, the free restaurant online ordering system, which during COVID went absolutely completely bananas. So much so that we discontinued it because the funny thing about it is that it was actually free. We didn't actually make any money out of it. Everyone was like, kind of, how do you guys make money out of this? It's like, it's called free because we don't make any money out of it. So yeah, we still got lots of customers on that platform, but we're not taking any new customers. And the other thing is the podcast that we do. So Secret Sauce Restaurant Marketing Podcast, which is the world's #1 restaurant marketing podcast.
Love it. You've been to, is it 100 different countries that you've had guests in? Did I see that somewhere?
We've had listeners. So it's coming up for like 500,000 downloads. And we it's our main marketing thing because we get customers all around the world now, and they'll have listened to 5 or 10 episodes. And one of the sad things about restaurant marketing is a lot of people will pay a lot of money for people who don't actually know a lot about marketing, which is really quite sad. They listen to the podcast and they think that some of our ideas are not too shabby, and come along, and then we help them grow the restaurant business that they always wanted.
Yeah,
because it's a tough gig.
Oh, yeah, I've been in marketing since '99, and it's easy, especially with the internet, to fake that you have a clue what you're talking about. Because the scary thing is that I probably, and you probably, and I'm the same way, probably know 100 times more than the average restaurateur about marketing. And a bad marketer probably knows 5 to 10 times more. But that doesn't mean they have a clue what they're actually doing just because they know how to click some buttons.
Absolutely. Yep. It's quite easy to bamboozle people with, you can get a report that's 200 pages long that says things. Who knows what they mean?
Yeah.
Poor old restaurant owners got no idea what's going on. Before you know it, they've spent, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, and they're no better off.
Yeah. So talk about the podcast. What started it, and what's the motivation behind it from a standpoint of obviously your love for marketing. How did you get tied in with the restaurant?
So we've got a side business that we've had for about 15 years that gets about 250,000 visits every month. So it's a 4-wheel driving, going off-road kind of thing. Okay. We learn a lot about SEO in building that because all of the traffic's from SEO. It just sort of like ticks along. And what we wanted to do is to bundle up some of that, those learnings, and embed it into websites so that you could increase the amount of traffic and, more importantly, customers and revenue profitability for a restaurant. Oh, sorry, for a small business. The problem is, though, that it's really hard to be generic. And so we wanted to look for a niche that we could specialize in. And, we love going out to restaurants. And I think restaurants have got a really important part to play in society. For many people, it's the route to the middle class for immigrants who particularly don't speak the language of the country that they've emigrated out to. So, there was the documentary, The Search for General Zhao's Chicken, talked about Chinese immigrants into the United States. In Australia, we've got a lot of Vietnamese immigrants, which means that we've got a disproportionately high number of Vietnamese restaurants, which is epic because Vietnamese food is epic. But that's only because we took a lot of people in at the end of the Vietnam War. Yeah. For them, it was really hard to make a living, and opening a restaurant was the only thing that they could do because you don't really need to speak the language.
Yeah.
So, and having a viable restaurant industry means that people who come to a country, and so now we've got a lot of Afghani restaurants opening up.
Okay.
So I was working yesterday with someone from the Afghan community just about, how do we make it easier for people to start a business up and to make it viable, because that means that they're going to be successful members of society. And if we don't have that opportunity for them, then what are they going to do?
Yeah.
How are they going to integrate into their new country? And I think that this is a really big thing that gets lost on a lot of people, the importance that it plays, from a whole society thing. It's not just about being able to go out and get some yummy food, and particularly today, go out and get some yummy food and have it delivered, with all of the nefarious implications that companies like Deliveroo, Uber Eats have for the industry.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why we're passionate about it.
Okay. Yeah. Another thing too, I think a lot of people forget about with regards to the importance of restaurants is the fact that it brings the community together. The fact that, a lot of people, that's the time to de-stress. That's the time to hang out with their family. That's the time to laugh and smile. And, restaurants, not only, like you said, bring people into the entrepreneur world and the business world and help them get, out of the lower class up the middle class, but it also, it's an avenue for people to enjoy life a little differently than are already in middle class or above.
Yeah, absolutely. So bringing people together. So I read somewhere that the actual meaning of the word restaurant is to restore the soul. Because there is something special. So old French term. Because there is something special, whether it's just your family or whether you're out with mates. There is something special that happens when you go out to a restaurant. And it's a very different experience to eating, chicken vindaloo while you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday about the industry, and we work with hundreds of restaurants across the U.S. and we were talking about the normal, when people will get back to normal, and somebody was talking about there's all the hype with ghost kitchens and delivery and third party, and I said, you know what? I predict that in 2 years we're talking about the complete opposite. People want to be out. I don't want to eat buffalo wings or pizza on my sofa all the time. I want to go sit down, be in a different atmosphere, unwind, and enjoy something that I don't want to do at home.
I think so. I definitely agree, and I think the people who talk about delivery, you wonder if they've ever actually been out to a restaurant and had a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe they need
Yeah.
more friends or something. I don't know. But that is something that you can't replicate in your house in any way, shape, or form. But the issues that we're seeing is that they are destroying a lot of full-time paying jobs. And I think that we're going to start to. So obviously we've got I'm assuming it's the same in the United States. Everything that I'm reading is it's just ridiculously hard to find staff for restaurants now. The number 1, 2, and 3 issues of some of the restaurants that we're talking to, and it's our customers in the UK, US. I think this is a global phenomenon now. That it's just really, really, really hard, if not impossible, to find people to work in a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and here in the States, a couple of the problems are, number one, there's a lot of restaurants that really didn't take care of their people. It's an industry that has been told for years that they didn't take care of their people. But I think over and above that, in the States at least, I don't know about over where you're at, but people are getting paid more to sit at home right now. And states, we have state funding and federal funding for unemployment, and states are starting to roll back the federal funding and saying, hey, you were getting $700 a week, now you're getting $300 a week, and hoping that these people go, oh crap, I guess I have to contribute to society again and quit sitting on my butt.
Yep. But, so we definitely, we had elements of that in Australia as well. We had a thing called JobKeeper, and so you didn't really have to work, and there were many people who were working in hospo who were getting more money than they were in their job, and so they didn't work.
Talk about marketing. What's something that you see that restaurants
Oh, you've dropped out.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, back now.
Yep. So thinking about marketing, what's a big issue right now? Because one thing I've been telling clients that a lot of the stuff we were helping clients with, I say we COVID proofed them, because we help restaurants build databases and drive traffic. And I think at the end of the day, the more people you can talk to in an effortless manner at a method they like, you're going to win. Databases are going to continue to be huge, email, text, and whatever platforms come out next on social media. What are you seeing and what are you advising people that as the pandemic starts to get behind us and we start to get some normalcy the next 6 to 12 months, what's something that restaurants need to really embrace and take a hold of?
So I like to describe the fact that, so we work predominantly with single location restaurants, usually, potentially a mom and pop type restaurant. And it's the perennial problem that they don't do any marketing. That they don't have a marketing plan. I think when you're running a business, you need 3 plans. You need a personal plan, a business plan, and then a marketing plan. The personal plan is, what do you want to do with your life, and where do you want to be, when you retire. Then you need a business plan that's going to support that. And so you might need to make X amount of dollars. To make X amount of dollars, how many customers do you need to get in, and how are you going to drag those customers in? Very few customers have got that. Very few restaurants have got that. That's the first thing. And then it's, I remember we were talking to one restaurant. It was like a 15-seater or something. And I was talking husband and wife team. And she said, I'm helping my husband, he's the amazing chef. And the food was, pretty good. And I said, I'm just worried about the seats. I mean, how are you going to, your lease is going to be pretty expensive here. You've got all of these costs. How are you going to make that work? Because you've only got 15 seats. There was no pressure to kick us out. You're not looking to turn the tables, multiple times in a night. I would have thought your revenue is going to be this. I would have reckoned that's a long way short of where you need to be. And she said, I'd never thought about that. And the tragic thing about that was that she was an accountant with one of Australia's largest accounting firms. And I'm like, the one area where you could have actually helped your husband would have said, the numbers don't stack up here.
Yeah.
She hadn't done that. So it's really about getting people to, obviously the database is, if you don't know who your customer is, if you don't know their email address, their phone number, or some sort of thing that you can reach out to them, then they're not your customer.
Yep.
And this is where, so the delivery apps, which work extremely aggressively to really put themselves right in the middle of that relationship, that's a really important relationship between customer and restaurant. Absolutely critical. And they work really hard to get right in the middle of it and firewall any of that communication. So that's one issue that we're seeing, because they're driving.
Yeah.
Order from the app, order from the app, order from the app. And the whole thing is designed around making it very hard to stand out, apart from with pricing. Oh, we're going to run a 20% off discount this month. So but that's not for you, that's for them, because what they want to do is to say, hey, use our app because we've got restaurants with 20% off.
Yeah.
Now, that's not sustainable, so you won't do that next month, but that's okay because there's another restaurant who's going to be running that promo next month. So they'll continue to get that, that revenue, which is what they need. So yeah, driving people to say, what's your database? Oh, we don't have a database. It's like, well, what's the value of your restaurant then? Why would I buy your restaurant? You can't even tell me the name of one of your customers.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head. Is a marketing plan. It cracks me up. People will spend $1 million here in the United States on a franchise, and they'll have the recipes and the menu boards, and they'll have everything laid out, the seating. They'll spend $100,000 on a sign in front of the building, and I'll say, what's your budget, and how many people do you need to acquire paid over the next 12 months on a worst case scenario? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you think people are just going to walk in here every day all week? I mean, you've got to do something. what is your game plan? Are you going to spend $5,000 a month, or are you going to spend $1,000 a month? And it's like going on vacation. Before we had cell phones with GPS, I remember 20 years ago with my wife going on a vacation, and you wrote out your map, like you knew where you were turning, left, right, left, right. Otherwise, you don't make it to vacation pretty quick, very well or at all. And I think that that's a huge problem. And we see it in the States that we work with a lot of franchises. There's a lot of great franchises, but they fail to give the restaurants the tools to acquire customers. It's like, hey, we've got great products, we've got great recipes, we've got great, SOPs on how to deliver the greatest product and back of house costs and front of house costs. But how do I get a customer? And how do I get somebody's name, photo, and email? How do I get them to come back every week? And that's a missing component that it's a shame, but hopefully guys like you, guys like me can continue to touch people and show them there's a way to prosperity, and it's through marketing. It's through inviting people to come enjoy that great food. Because if it's great food, who cares if nobody knows?
That's one of my big things. You don't want to have the best restaurant that no one's ever heard of, because you'll go out of business. And that's one of the things I like about my job is that you go to a lot of places that are really quiet, and some of them are those little diamonds in the rough, and you think it's embarrassing the prices on the menu. They're so cheap compared to the quality that they're delivering, but they're using price because they're just no good at actually telling people, hey, come and have a look at us. We've got some amazing food. Yeah. I've also eaten in a lot of really crappy restaurants. Marketing can't fix that.
I think that is the one equalizer, is that, if you've got a discount to get people, you might be hiding something. And if you're you're driving a ton of traffic, you might want to make sure the product is there. Because I had a client recently, I said, hey, I got to be quite honest with you. He wanted to hire us. I said, I'm looking at your reviews. I've not seen somebody in the ones ever on Yelp and Google out of 5. The last thing you want me to do is drive more people there for you to piss off. I said, you don't want to hear that, but I think you might want to fix something before you throw gas on the fire.
Absolutely. And I see this. It's one of those difficult conversations that marketers have, where it's just like, we're not going to help you, I don't think. We're not going to be able to help you at all because of the fact that your product's no good.
Yep.
So,
cool.
yeah,
how can people... Hold on a second, let me plug in. I think I might have an audio issue because I got a low battery. I'm thinking, I'm not sure what's wrong here. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. It's a little bit distorted.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little distorted on my end too. So I guess to wrap up, how can people contact you? What's the best way? Is it marketing4restaurants.com, like on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, so marketing4restaurants.com, or on your favorite podcast player, have a look for Secret Sauce. And yeah, have a listen. There's plenty of ideas there. We're quite open. We share a lot of our methodologies. How to run a Facebook campaign, how to create a marketing campaign. A lot of it's there. So I think it's a good way for people to sort of reach out and just to start thinking about their marketing plan and how they can make it better.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Not sure why I've got this weird static on the end, but I look forward to learning more about you, and I appreciate you coming on live, and enjoy your weekend in Australia.
I will. Thanks, Matt. Have a glorious day.
Thank you too. See you, James.
Bye.